DBD is not balanced, and it's never been balanced. How? Well, DBD's always been a confusing game when it comes to balance, and it seems like every chapter there's something that's overpowered in one way or another, and everyone has the talk once again about balance. But if we take a closer look at this, there's been many overpowered things in the past. Instable Lines, Unrelenting plus Save the Best for Last, Sky Billy. There was one where you could have Myers with a chainsaw. There's just some older ones. And then, of course, the recent 7 Blink Nurse. However, that didn't make it out of the PTB. However, it was still there, and it's something that still had a discussion about it. Same with the Twins and their change in the PTB. But what I'm trying to say is that it's expected for something to be broken in DBD, and it usually is. But in the same way, if all perks were balanced and everything was equal for both sides, there would be a missing element for both Killer and Survivor. Going into the meta, of course, there is something really satisfying about hitting 2 people with Eruption or finishing a generator in 40 seconds. I mean, bringing a build that strong and bringing a game that otherwise would have been lost back brings a really special feeling. But that's the thing. As a killer, you can't always expect survivors to not bring items and perks to try and complete their objective as quickly as possible, and the same goes for survivors. You can't expect the killer not to bring 2 to 3 regression perks and to tunnel or camp. You have to expect that the other side is going to want to complete their objective and win as fast as possible. So what does this mean for DBD's balance? Overall, the balance of DBD is the variety you get between games. Sure, using a stronger meta build would lead to more wins overall, but even with a build that's strong, there's going to be games where getting a good result isn't really possible, because DBD has many factors that affect the match. For example, look at Survivor. You could be one of the best players in Chase, and the killer could chase you for like 4 to 5 minutes, but it doesn't really matter if your teammates aren't doing gens. Or, on the contrary, you could just be running a meme build, and suddenly you get a nurse with 3 to 4 slowdowns on Dead Dog. And those games are pretty much, either way, a loss, no matter how good you play or what you bring. That's just how DBD is. There's going to be some games that you can win very easily, and some games that you lose hard. And then there's, a lot of games that are somewhere in the middle. On Killer, for balance, it mainly centers around what items and offerings the survivors bring, because that changes the normal game flow significantly. And with a couple of good toolboxes and medkits, along with a map offering, the game balance can already lean one way before the match has even started. Now, does that mean that skill is pointless in DBD? Not at all. Now, while the other side can bring impressive builds into the game, it's best to internalize whether those builds are the reason you lost. Keep in mind that more often than not, in your average game of DBD, there's going to be mistakes on your part, and realizing what those mistakes are and improving on them are how you improve and how you generally get better outcomes in your games. Now, of course, getting better doesn't mean you're going to win every game. Like I said before, you have to understand the factors that are going along as you're playing, and you'll find yourself playing more to the situation and getting better every game. And then adding those builds on top of it is only going to help you further. But builds can't fundamentally carry an unskilled player. Not fully. It can make a strong one better, but it can't make an unskilled player really, really good. So DBD's balance is kind of in a strange spot, because it can be shifted per each game depending on what is brought. And it kind of is just like this constant back and forth match of meta builds and items and offerings. So it really just changes game to game, and it's something that is really unique to DBD itself. So it is just in a really strange spot. But in this meta, we find that, people still find strong perks and builds outside of just the gen kicking meta. Or there's just, 4-man groups that just mess around with something like head on, breakdown, boil over. Sure, it might not be fun for the killer, for a lot of times, but it just shows you those aren't meta. Like boil over breakdown isn't meta necessarily, but when a four-man runs it, it changes it kind of a bit. Same with head on. Same like a four-man head on group. It's not meta. It's not the most oppressive build they could run, but it just shows you that DBD's balance is really just all over the place in the best way possible. Now, of course, the Jin kick meta is, kind of boring. And I don't disagree that it makes games take forever with 3 gen setup. And I would love to see a focus on general, chases and getting downs. But it's definitely an oppressive. It's not an oppressive meta to where the point where you see it every game and you're bound to lost. You have a good chance to play against the Gen Kick meta and get wins against it. It's not as oppressive as really old, insta blinds and unrelenting save the best for last, like I talked about before. So that's what makes DBD special, in my opinion, is the back and forth balance. It's never leaning to one side overall, because survivors can bring all kinds of items and perks and offerings. Killers can bring all kinds of add-ons and, well, change the killer at all. Someone like Nurse and Blight are generally going to be better, but they can also bring something like a Myers with Tombstone Infinite Tier 3. This balance is really all over the place. And to say it's sided on one side is kind of untruthful in the way of the game as a whole, because every game will be different. And that's something I love about DBD, because every game, you never know what's going to happen. And the unpredictability really makes DBD special and something that I can constantly come back to replay. If you like this short little discussion, remember to leave a like and subscribe. It's just right there. Come on, guys. Do it for me. Also, on the screen right now is one video that YouTube recommends you to watch, and my newest upload, if it isn't just this video at the time of you watching it. And also, I hope you all have a nice day, and I'll see you on the next one.